What you read, man?
Matteo?
Yeah, that's me.
Dude, I'm just reading about you.
This is Matteo Mancuso, a modern rock and jazz guitar virtuoso that is taking the world by storm. With his unique right-hand technique, he is speaking a completely unique voice, and it's not for nothing that many consider him one of the greatest guitarists and improvisers around these days. But
How did you come in my studio?
I was open.
I was thinking, improvising. We need help. The guitar community needs you. Because we are, it's the holy grail, but so many of us are stuck, not knowing what to do. We need you to explain the basis, and then let's gradually increase until we hit level Matteo Mancuso. Is that okay?
Yeah, we can talk about it.
Okay, let's do it. Let's do it. Let's sit down, let's grab a guitar. Let me grab a guitar just for, I mean, I'm not playing. I need to hold a guitar. Thank you. So what I did, I prepared a little track.
Okay.
In case someone walked in, because I just leave my studio open. And then we can, on the basis of that track, sort of evolve into something cool. And I'm putting you on the spot because you never heard the track, or maybe you have, because I've been doing these improvisation collaborations with YouTubers and musicians and guitarists all over the world. And this is one track that I sent to them. Maybe you've heard it. Do you want to have a listen to it and then see what happens?
Oh yeah, sure.
This is one. C major.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That's the track.
Yeah, it looks really cool. I think I heard that maybe it was the first video that you did, like with improvising all the musicians together.
Yeah, 10 YouTubers improvise. And actually I wanted to ask you for the new version. Are you down?
Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah. Okay,
yeah.
Cool. So we got one. Maybe leave your suggestions who I else need to invite in the comment section. But for now, let's tackle improvisation.
Yeah.
Let's see where we can go. Start out with the basics so everyone can follow along. I'm sure everyone can start with the basics. What is sort of the most fundamental part of improvising? Where would you start?
There is something about people that maybe they think that before actually improvising you need to know all the scales, all the arpeggios and all the informations available about improvisation, you know. But it's not really true, because I found myself in this loop a little bit, especially when I was starting, because like before I'm improvising, I need to know everything about the guitar and the fretboard. But I think the fastest way to improve at improvising is just to let it go and be your instinct guide you in most of the cases.
Cool.
And I think we can start with our favorite scale, the minor pentatonic would be always our, you know, safe zone. You know, it's the skeleton of our playing basically. And
very nice.
Yeah.
So since the track is available for you to download, it's on Patreon if you want to check it out. But the key of the track is C major. So how are you thinking? Are you thinking, let's grab a C major pentatonic, or are you thinking maybe A minor?
You can think both A minor or C major pentatonic. It depends on, like, you know, what visualize you the best, you know.
Yeah.
We can start by using just one box first of all.
Okay.
And this is I think it's the first box that everyone learns.
Yep.
You
So
know?
that's usually what people would see as A minor.
Yeah.
But then you just say this is.
Yeah, you can visualize the root note here or here. It's basically the notes are the same. So, but what I learned through, you know, listening to all the players and also trying to mimic the first players, the first influences, you know, is that you are able to play the same thing in a various different ways, you know. Let's say play this phrase here. You can play with the bending or with the sliding, or micro bend.
Ooh, that was nice. Yeah.
Starting with this note here. So you can have like a wide variety of different licks let's say, by starting with the same pattern.
Yeah, and so, just within the pentatonic scale.
And just within the pentatonic scale. You know?
Before we continue, just give me one playthrough of pentatonics.
Yeah.
How does only using the pentatonic scale, so a scale everyone knows, you, me, everyone, on this track, how does it sound? And please keep it a little bit simple.
Oh yeah, I will try.
Okay, let's go. Amazing,
yeah. I tried to use only pentatonic, but there were some other notes here and there, of course. The first thing one of the first things I learned about the pentatonic is that you are able to repeat the same pattern on different places, you know. So whenever I have like I know that I can repeat the same pattern on this other octave. So I have this kind of 3-octave thing going on. So if you like visualize this shape or this shape over here,
that's interesting.
You know.
Okay, so 3 octaves of C basically.
Yeah. And I always visualize that not only on the pentatonic scale but on every scale actually. It's kind of a rule that I apply on everything. So when you learn something, let's say on these 2 strings, you can repeat it on the other 2 octaves, and that can expand you a little bit. Yeah. So instead of moving always vertically, with this kind of approach you can move more diagonally on the fretboard.
Nice.
And plus it's also really simple to visualize because it's always the same shape repeating over the neck.
Interesting. So you divide the fretboard basically in 3 sort of anchor points. Like a C note over here, a C note over here, and a C note over here. And C here, C here. And then you have every string. That's interesting.
Basically you have every string. Of course you need to know also the pentatonic box. But this can help you like to repeat maybe the same phrase 1 octave lower or higher if you want to go up with the solo, you know. And it is really good also with the dynamics. It's something that also John Mayer does, for example, a lot. So
all the blues guys, right?
All the blues guys,
That's very cool, and also that leads into sort of phrasing where you want to speak sentences, so everything is coherent. So we're not just playing the scale up and down, but we're also making music. That you can do it everywhere on the neck.
Sure. And guitar is a really hard instrument to visualize, actually. That's why we all struggle to improvising sometimes.
But this really helps. It's a great tip. Those anchor points. And do you really focus on the boxes as well? Because you said, let's start with the box that everyone knows over here. Do you know, for example, all 5 boxes? Oh yeah,
sure. I try to use all the 5 boxes because they let you, you know, explore different things of the pentatonic, you know, because a bending here, you know, is not something the same as here, you know. So when you have like this, or so you have something, you know, diverse on every pentatonic box. So I like to explore the various bending you can achieve. For example, if we are on this box, you know, it's very different. Tonally speaking, it's also very different from. This is more angry, more like Albert King, SRV style. And here is more like a. this kind of stuff.
Amazing.
And you know, you have various stuff. I like to mix because we are always used to 2-note per strings, for example, you know.
Yeah.
To vary the rhythmic a little bit, I like to mix like 3 and 2 notes per strings, like. So you have this kind of shape. So if you start from here, you have. And this is another shape I use. So it's always like 3 and 2 notes per strings, and then you repeat again.
Okay, so we first need to learn the pentatonics, the boxes, and every box has their own benefits. So on such a track, what would be a second layer on this? A second step?
Well, I think the second step would be adding the notes of the major scale.
Yeah. Okay.
So you're not only relying on pentatonic, of course, when you're playing on these songs, and I think the next step will be adding some of the notes outside the pentatonic and try to use them, and you know, as landing notes, also as target notes, and that could be a really useful material.
Just the C major scale.
Well, just the C major scale. You can think about modes, of course, but this backing track pretty much revolves around the C major scale.
So then we're adding 2 little notes to our pentatonic scale.
We're basically adding 2 extra notes. So pentatonic 5 notes, that means that in order to build a scale you need 2 more.
Yeah. So what's your favorite major scale position for a track like this?
Well, the first one I learned was actually this one. And you can also use the 3 note per string kind of stuff. But I always prefer to use like mixed positions, as I said previously for the pentatonic, that applies also on the major scale. So here you have like 3 notes and then 2 notes on the B string, for example. And this add a little bit more rhythmic variety for me, because this one, like, it always sounds too shreddy for me, like And the last thing I want to is like sound like this on a backing track.
Okay.
Similar, you know.
So how would you sound like this on a backing track? Do you want to try it?
Yeah.
Major scale only. At least that's what he tries.
Oh yeah. So this was an improvisation, like trying to use more the major scale rather than relying always on pentatonic. There are, of course, a lot of notes in common, so you can easily mix pentatonic with major scale. But you can add the major 7, for example. Or you can easily mix like the perfect 4. And I always try also to use string skipping a little bit, so when I have like... And this helps you to, you know, having a vocabulary that is not really predictable, you know, you have like big jumps from one note to another. And the thing that helped me is not actually learning the shapes, but learning more interval vocabulary. I think that's almost as important, if not more important, than the scale itself.
Oh, wow, okay.
You know?
Yeah.
Because then it's the intervals and the relation to the chord. It's really what your vocabulary is all about.
It's the emotion of the note. Yeah. So let me ask you a question. How often do you think about the note names versus thinking about note functions?
Well, I don't think about note names actually.
No.
If I need to be like completely honest, I know the notes on the fretboard, but when I'm actually improvising, I'm not thinking about, okay, I'm playing an F sharp here. No, it's not like that, because my brain is not that fast. Like
yeah, I think no one actually thinks about it like this. Also, an F sharp, there's no meaning to just a note name. Because there's no relation, right? If you say the F sharp is, let's say, the sharp 4 in the key of C.
Yeah, like it's more important to, like, it's more important, instead of knowing that this is an E, it's more important to know that this is the major third of the key I'm playing on. So, of course, you need to know the notes on the fretboard. It can be useful, but when you are improvising, really, it's all about the relation to the key rather than the notes itself. Yeah.
So you said intervals are super important.
Yeah.
And you mean...
I mean, just studying, I think the most important ones for me, melodically speaking, are thirds and sixths. So as I said before, we can start with thirds like that. Separated, or just with small chords.
That's lovely.
And you can use that to your advantage, you know. And if you can understand, like, the relation between, you know, these thirds and the key, this will be also very helpful for the visualization, of course.
Yeah.
So you can use it also. Same thing with the major and minor 6. Yeah.
That's such a great idea.
You know,
like you play.
Yeah, and using string skipping, of course, but and this is a really useful tool in order to, you know, spice up a little bit your improvisation stuff. Yeah, I believe starting with thirds and sixths is one of the best ways. Yeah, I mean, I started with these two, and you can always use fourths also, but they're a little bit more complicated to play because they are on the same fret, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, you know?
Sounds more jazzy immediately.
It sounds a little bit more jazzy, yeah.
So actually, before we started recording, I heard you just warm up a little bit, and you played a lick that really intrigued me. I think it was sort of an Eric Johnson, like something like this.
Yeah, it's something.
But it was very beautiful.
Yeah.
I think that was it,
Yeah, you can use it pretty much for the old scale. If you have an ants that is big enough. Yeah, it's something actually that is taken from Bach, and Eric takes some of this kind of, for this kind of stuff, for the spread triads, for example. Like, Eric uses a lot of
beautiful.
And it's actually a really simple concept. You play like a triad here. You take the major third and you play it 1 octave higher, so you obtain this.
Yeah. Open voicing, basically.
Open, yeah, it's kind of an open voicing.
Yeah. And if you can, that's immediately Eric Johnson.
Yeah, immediately, especially with delays.
And the sweet overdrive. It's very cool. Pentatonics, major scale. Just really simple. Where do we go?
Arpeggios on the major scale. All the arpeggios available. Like. You can pretty much use a lot of things inside the major scale, just by basically harmonizing the scale. And you can do it by playing the chords, like let's say that we start from here, from this C major. You know, and you have all these arpeggios available that you can really use everywhere if you are on the C major scale. So for example, if I have to use a passage and I'm on this side of this area of the neck, I can use like F major 7, for example.
Oh wow, yeah.
and this can be really useful to, you know, modify a little bit the major scale, just because I know that all these chords available contains an arpeggio that you can use, basically.
Yeah, it's all notes from the C major scale.
Yeah, it's all notes from the C major scale. And an exercise that I discovered a long time ago and I still do this day, is this arpeggio study here.
So what you're doing, you go up in C, you go down in D minor, you go up in E minor, you go down in F.
Yeah, it's like ascending arpeggio and descending arpeggio, and always like that. Yeah.
I know a sort of similar one, but I do this like up and down in the same. So I go up and down in C. This goes like this.
Oh, okay, yeah.
That's it, right?
Yeah.
It's a bit the same, but.
Okay. Yeah, it's pretty much similar, but it's a really nice exercise to just visualize all the arpeggios available on just one place.
Cool, yeah. So that's the arpeggios, and how do these arpeggios sound if you use them more freely over a track like this? You want to do it?
Yeah.
Amazing.
I
started out this
kind of a mix.
Yeah. I started out this video saying, "Don't go too quick, don't go." I couldn't follow really everything, but I heard definitely a lot of arpeggios going on, and it sounds magical. It's really cool.
Yeah, I did like a mix of like triad. For example, the A minor triad works really well, or even, you know, F major 7. Or, you know, C major 7 also works.
Yeah, beautiful.
So all these like little arpeggios, sometimes it's not even the arpeggio like up and down, because it can be a little bit boring. So I sometimes skip a note, for example, like, you know, so it can be a little bit less predictable, but cool. It's mostly arpeggios, basically. Yeah.
Very nice. It's very cool that you jump such a wide range very quickly. It sounds always impressive.
Thank you.
But there's one thing though, because in this backing track there are notes outside of the scale of C major. For example, to everyone watching, the first chord is C major, and the second chord is an E7.
Yeah.
So there's a G sharp in there, and that note is not in the C major scale. So how would you call a chord like that? An outside chord?
Well, it's for sure a chord outside the realm of C major. So what I'm trying to do is to visualize the scale of relation in the closest way I can. So if I'm here, for example, and I know my E major, E7 here, I don't want to go immediately there.
No, yeah.
And I don't even want to go here, you know, because I see a lot of like people improvising, and maybe they are doing a phrase here, and then they, you know, but it doesn't make sense, because it's something that is not related
to your first phrase.
To your first phrase, it needs to be something closer, similar. So. Because we are building something, you know. So
I think the most important thing is that the chord underneath shouldn't break your lyric or your phrase.
Yeah, it needs to be always a flow. You don't need. You need to dictate the chord what you are playing, not the opposite thing, like the chord that dictates you what you are playing, you know.
Oh wait, here's the E7. I know the arpeggio.
This is the thing I always want to avoid. So whenever I have like a chord progression that I want to, you know, study a little bit, I always start with visualizing the chord in the closest way I can. So if I have like C major and E7, the closest E7 I have is this one. And I immediately have this this note, the major third. And then I have I have this like F minor. So I try to like visualize all the chord in one place in order to, you know, don't jump too much on the fretboard. So the vocabulary will sound a little bit more in line. And a scale that I think about when I have this E7, it's of course A harmonic minor, for example. So in order to play the A harmonic minor, a lot of people starting always from, you know, but because you are here, you need to be able to visualize it here, you know? And that's when the 3-octave stuff comes to help, you know, because if you know this, it's the same thing, you know, so you are able to like connect the thing a little bit better. So you have C major scale,
you immediately hear the chord.
I didn't make like a jump or you know, so you need to visualize like all the scales from the chord progression, but just in one place. And then when you have this place got down, like I feel very comfortable in this place, move maybe here. Then when you have this place got down, you move here, or maybe you move. And when you have all the the position got down, that means that you know very well your chord progression.
You know the neck. Yeah. Wow. How does it sound on the backing track? Want to give it a try?
Yeah, sure. So this can be like an example, you know. And another scale that I use on this chord progression, actually there is an F minor. And here I use F melodic minor. So
what's the difference between minor and melodic minor?
Well, the difference is the color, let's say. So when you use melodic minor, you basically have, I always say it's a major scale with a minor third. I know that it sounds strange, but it's basically one little, you know, movement.
The rest
so
is
you can always think like, sometimes I think F major to F minor. And if you have like so instead of like playing like a completely different thing on the next scale, you can always try to play the same thing you played before with the major scale and try to make it minor, for example.
Just a minor note.
Just a minor note. So this can be helpful a little bit.
And just to state the fact, this is also why it's so important that you always know the functions. Because if you want to change one aspect of a scale, let's say you want to change the major note into a minor note, if you don't know which note the major one is, then you cannot change it. So
you need to know your major thirds.
The functions are so important. It makes you just more versatile, and you can change up and accommodate to situations way more quickly. Wow, super cool. And one step left, I think.
One step further will be, at least for me, chromaticism.
Yeah.
So because we have all the scales and all this information available, arpeggios and scale we talk about, we can use some of chromaticism to, let's say, unify our ideas in a way.
Yeah, okay.
Wow. So I think that I have, we can talk about this scale here. So this is a modification of the major scale, basically.
Yeah.
So you have it's basically a major scale, but with the minor 6. So you have you have this.
Lovely.
You have this note here. And this one is called bebop major.
Bebop major.
Bebop major scale. And you can apply it basically on a lot of things, especially on this background track. And you have, for example, you have this kind of lick here when if you start on the right rhythmic place, it will sound good. Because the most important thing for me when you're playing chromatic is the chromatic note, the wrong note, let's say, is not on the strong beat.
Ah, yes, yeah, okay.
For me it's really important, because if you land on this note, it will sound bad.
Yeah.
If this note is a passing note, then it will sound, it will sound, you know, purposeful and will sound good, you know.
Yeah.
You know, and you can use, like, for me, when we are talking about chromaticism, it's almost more important the rhythmic part rather than the notes itself.
Yeah. Because you explained it already a little bit, but like, what's the difference between a wrong note and an outside note, or a wrong note and a chromatic note?
Well, the short answer is the context. It needs to be in the right context. Mm-hmm. So if you play everything in the right context, there are no wrong notes. No.
Okay, I want to challenge you. Play me a wrong note. First a wrong note, just something that would... let's do it again. Yeah.
You know, this kind of stuff, you can land on a bad note. That it can happen, of course, it happens to everyone. The important thing is you need to be able to resolve it, you know. If you resolve the thing, then it can sound that, oh, I did it on purpose, you know. And this is the sharp 4. It can be a little bit intimidating at first.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah. So yeah, in order to be able to, you know, incorporate chromaticism onto your playing is, of course, a lot of listening, because I listen to a lot of the guys that incorporate this kind of stuff, so you kind of copy the vocabulary a little bit, and you started to notice some of the rules. So a rule that I follow is be sure that when you are playing chromaticism, you are landing on the note of the scale, of course, and all the notes in between needs to be passage notes, passing notes, basically.
Yeah. How does it sound if there's no rules, or we just combine all the things that you just explained so eloquently just in one, and just give it whatever you want to give it?
Yeah, sure.
Is that cool?
Let's try,
Okay, here we go. C major, and he just heard the track for the first time, so this is it's already blowing my mind so far. So really,
thank you.
Really amazing. Yeah, good luck. Here we go. Oh man. Whew. I don't know how I'm gonna recover from that, but I luckily now have 5 things I need to practice: the pentatonics, the major scale, the arpeggios in the key, the chromaticism, and everything you saw in this video. I mean, I'm just a little blown away. Thank you so much, Matteo.
Thank you, man.
So everything about him can be found in the description, and give him a thumbs up, a follow, and just practice your guitar as well, because that's the main message in this video, I think.
Yeah,
practice
a lot.
How much did you practice?
Well, not as much as I used to when I was a teenager. Like back then was like 12 hours then sleep and yeah, a lot. Yeah. And now it's more like I try to play at least 4 hours every day. Wow. But sometimes it's less, sometimes it's more if I'm lucky. But yeah.
Okay, well, now we know what we gotta do. All right, thank you so much, and see you next time, guys. Cheers, bye bye.
Well, yeah. That was good. I mean,
I love it. Yeah, super.